Chapter 11, Safe House 08. Alright, are we gonna hear about it or see it? Vic, I'm not interested in you starting this chapter. Please go away. I want to know about Safe House 08, and if you are the reason that I find out about Safe House 08, we are going to have problems, you and me.
I hope this won't take long, but after your fascinating suggestion for a 5-year roadmap to legitimacy, and public statement asserting you're working on it, I felt it wise to reevaluate recent discussions.
I'm shocked you were able to call an emergency meeting over something like this. But if the others agree, there's not much I can do about it.
Thank you so much for coming in today. I do understand you had one more day of leave, but it would be nice if you didn't insist on being difficult every single time, Quill. We are on the same side, you know.
I would certainly like to think we are.
None of us were happy about having to come to the office when it felt like there were few people we could trust. The person currently speaking to Quill very high on that list.
I don't think we'll be long. There was no need for you to bring your assistant, though it's pleasant, as always, to see you, Miss Leone. Still, I am afraid the assistants won't have much to do. Perhaps you should step out for a coffee.
I'm not going anywhere, sir. I don't trust you. As far as I can fling you across the room. Quill's filing is already a disaster again, so I have to manage that. But thanks for worrying about us.
Well, do consider my suggestion. I'm sure it'll be more interesting than overworking yourselves out here while we have our meeting. As much as Quill is one of the old guard, so to speak. We need to discuss the assignment of a commission to propose a new roadmap for recognition. But I can't imagine it will take more than a couple of hours of discussion.
The two of them disappeared down the hallway and the smile vanished from my face right away.
I can't stand him.
Same. I leaned on Quill's desk, glaring at the hollow cylinders and forms there. I wasn't lying about filing building up already. It looked like people just dropped things on his desk when they had things to show him. I wonder what that man is up to.
Maybe he is genuinely intrigued by Quill's roadmap suggestion.
Sure.
Since when did you become a pessimist?
Quill would say I'm being a realist. As he said, Quill had finally taken a video interview to discuss his shifting stance on the topic of the referendum. This was part of the plan to put himself in luck more in the public eye to make it harder for anyone to do anything to them without it causing more of a splash. It wasn't the most solid form of protection, but it was all we had. And with luck, if the referendum was at the source of the attacks, it might make whoever was behind them take a step back. He had put forth a potential 5-year roadmap for integration into Aurelia as an official dome, and that had been dominating the news cycle since then, hence the sudden emergency session. Dropping something like that into the news without warning hadn't earned him any approval on the committee, but it served its purpose. He had also dropped another bomb for those who might be involved in the Arcalis leak. The suggestion of an internal audit and review of the NISA Research Institute in order to assess the state of its research and what changes may need to be made to allow for integration. His goal was to lay the foundation to reveal that Arcalis had been leaked to the outside. The internal audit was just an avenue through which to publicize the last 5 years of investigating. Quill's sudden shift in position had created waves, as expected. NISA becoming publicly recognized wasn't a simple thing. It was going to require a change in policy, a change in society if the move was to be accepted by the likes of the Triad. It wasn't impossible. No society was inflexible. But bending often took decades, and the current stance on neo-humans was centuries long. We were going to ask it to bend in an instant. No matter what we could offer, the backlash to that would be swift. And it wasn't just neo-humans. There were so many Espers here, including high ranks like me. I wasn't sure any of us could predict what the fallout of that would be. Standing at the foot of what might become a tsunami, I could understand why Quill and so many others had wanted to push this move far into the future. And of course, that was on the outside. Internally, there were many more moving parts, many people pulling strings and trying to push the city in directions that would favor them. We were just trying to steer us back to a path where we would be safe, but where hopefully the city could survive as well. I let out a sigh as I moved closer to Vale and Rory. Rory's here too? Vale still didn't like leaving Rory alone yet, and I don't think Rory was a fan either, so they'd made an excuse to bring him with us. Aw. He was doing a lot better these days, but was still processing everything he'd gone through. And now there was all this other chaos to deal with. Did you two find it a little weird for Sager to try to get us to leave, though? I glanced toward the hallway, lowering my voice. You think? There were only 2 other assistants here, but they were in the back. Still, I didn't want anyone to overhear us.
It's possible he just expects it to get heated.
Not that us being here has stopped them before.
True. But with Stratum latching onto Quill and Locke's words about a roadmap, the stakes are getting higher.
A 5-year roadmap is still way too fast, but it gives the appearance of a compromise. I'm not surprised they shifted alignment.
Morgan, I know you're on edge with us being here. I am too. But I don't think he'll try anything in front of a group.
I hope you're right.
Feeling your tingles?
I don't know. To be honest, the more I think about trying to sense things that are coming, the more I can't tell if I am or not. Then I start panicking because I don't know the difference between sensing something and not. I mean, sometimes it's so clear. Like when we got back to our flat the other day. But the day the car incident happened, I didn't feel anything.
Sai is like that. We've had this discussion. I used to be better at it when I arrived. I guess because I was used to being in danger. That's never been my specialty, though. I've always been better at psionic attacks. I suppose if I have paths in front of me, like I'm at a crossroads, I can pick out the best one more easily. But seeing random things, a little harder for me.
I guess that makes sense.
I imagine rooks aren't good at this sort of thing at all.
Even when I was in infantry, I wasn't good with theokinetics. Or much of anything. I could shut the door from across the room or get something out of reach.
I used to make the lights flicker when I was stressed. I never even wanted more than that, but now I feel like I'd give anything for some psionic clarity.
If we could see everything coming at us, life would be pretty different. I imagine it would be less enjoyable, even if it was safer. If you knew something bad was heading your way and you had no power to stop it, how would you live life? Afraid?
Probably more carefully than I do now.
Well, we can at least be reassured that it's broad daylight in a public place. What can happen?
You just had to ask that, didn't you, Vale? Yep. What could possibly happen?
Music change.
What's going on out there?
A frown crossed my face as several safety department cars and black cars pulled up right outside. Lights on. No sirens. There was a shout from the conference room, followed by a loud commotion and more shouts. Guys?
Don't you dare say a word.
Someone burst through the committee chamber door, and we heard rapid footsteps. Right as they appeared in the main office entry, something hit them from behind and they went down. There was a security guard behind them with an acoustic baton in hand.
Stay close to me and Rory. What's going on here?
Nice sunglasses, dude. No one answered. Another guard appeared, pushing the 2 aides from the back through the door. They stayed on the far side of the room, and we stayed where we were. Several officers from outside darted into the building, weapons drawn. All looked like they'd stepped out of a bad cop movie. Why do they always wear sunglasses inside and at night? You had to tempt fate.
Fate needs higher standards if it can be tempted that easily.
Some officers kept their weapons trained on us, while others broke off from the group and headed to the committee chamber. One dragged the unconscious member away from the door. And I wished in that moment, more than anything, that I had a proper nanosystem so Vale and I could communicate through all this with internal messages. When there was another shout I was almost certain was Quill, I almost bolted for the committee room. Vale's hand clamped on my arm, keeping me in place. Oh, Vale's getting ready. We're gonna be dual purple. Dual purple. Alright. Get ready, get ready.
Not yet.
They mouthed the words to me, keeping their eyes on the nearby SD officers. I still had no idea what was happening, but clenched my hands to tight fists by my side and stayed put. If only because I caught the faint glow of Vale's eyes and wondered if they were looking ahead to something I wasn't aware of, or trying to. If so, I would just hold back for now. I scanned the group, noting that none were Espers. That, at least, was useful information. Moments later, the committee members started filing out of the chamber and into the main office. They were told to line up along the wall. I was relieved to see Quill there. He was fine. Locke was next to him, talking to one of the officers in a calm tone of voice.
We can't be detained without cause, I hope you realize. And you can't search this building without a warrant. The warrant is coming down the pipeline. We have cause to believe multiple members of the Central Committee are guilty of colluding with the Stratum Board of Directors to release Nisa's research to outsiders who wish to illegally obtain access to Arayan relics.
What?
Relics cannot be removed from research facilities or transported out of the city, nor can any of their components or byproducts as per city regulations. Anyone involved in this conspiracy will be detained for further questioning.
Vale and I were eyeing each other hard with that explanation. Relics? Right. Yes. What route was that again with the relics? Caleb. Caleb, that's right. This was from far out in left field. But what was the play here? Frame committee members? Their murder attempts failed, so this was their next plan? My mind was racing as one officer put restraints on a committee member I didn't know, stating their name and that they were under arrest. What do we do? What do we do? I saw movement out of the corner of my eye. Vic Sager was lurking in the door, watching. He was not lined up with the others, so he, of course, wasn't a suspect here. How convenient.
Locke Nikolov, you are under arrest for conspiracy to commit acts of economic espionage and the transport of restricted technology outside the borders of...
Welp. A deep rumble shook the floor before he could get the restraints on Locke. People screamed as they fell and windows I assume this is windows and not widows. All the widows rattled in the panes. I fell against Vale, jerking my head toward the window. Though whatever that had been was far from our building, at least a block or two. Interesting. There was a split second of shock before chaos broke out, and most of the SD officers bolted outside, almost clearing the room of them. What in the world?
Morgan, now!
They fired off a sideburst that struck one of the security guards, stunning me into absolute shock. But what do they mean by now? I was supposed to... attack? It wasn't until two safety officers drew their weapons that I forced down the abject terror and lifted a desk. I only delayed a split second before I flung it at them. Sorry! I expanded my sphere to try to keep an eye on, well, everything. Sager disappeared to the back of the building, taking a couple of officers with him. Boo! Coward! But we still had the others to deal with. As much as I would like to follow and ask him a few questions... In the confusion of us ducking for cover, while also fighting the police, Quill and Locke had found their way to us. Good. Vale fired another sideburst at someone, and I raised a shield between us and everyone else. It looked like we weren't the only ones taking the opportunity to fight back. Quill grabbed my arm as he yanked me after him toward the back door. The others were right behind us. I was aware of someone lunging toward us and Rory, surprisingly taking them down with a single punch to the face. Nice one, Rory! And then in the hustle of limbs and shouts, we were bursting out of the building and running, veering wildly into a nearby alley.
They went this way! Catch them! They're following!
Why is it always someone chasing me in an alley?
Oh, he's naked now.
I did that. Just keep running. Also, where are we going? Sorry, what psi ability is that where you can make someone naked?
Not sure yet.
Might be nice if we knew. Or at least had a car.
What are you complaining about? Can't you just teleport us out of here?
All 5 of us? That seems like asking to die.
I doubt we're going to get far like this.
We veered into another side alley, then again, and I was starting to wonder how long we could keep this up. The rest of us were doing okay, but Locke seemed to be flagging already. It was easy to forget that his health wasn't the best when he seemed okay most of the time. Rory scooped him up like it was nothing, making the rest of us almost pause because it was also easy to forget he was a rook.
This way!
We darted out onto a street before weaving through the outdoor sitting area of a cafe. It wasn't until we found ourselves in another alley that we finally stopped and Rory, almost hilariously, set Locke on the ground with a solid thunk.
That was one of the weirdest experiences of my life. But thanks, I think.
You're welcome. Do I want to know why or how you did that?
It seemed like a good way to distract him. He wasn't going to be able to follow us like that.
I am sometimes truly baffled by how your mind works. Also, you can teleport a man's clothes off his body, but not a few people.
Be baffled later, maybe during the conversation where we deconstruct my ability to creatively use Psi in a crisis. Because we need a plan. We can't keep running around like this, and I don't think we can pause here for long. They weren't that far behind us. I've done this running around in an alley thing before, and let me tell you, it doesn't throw people off as well as you'd think.
Safe house?
It's our only option.
Great. How far away is that, and how are we going to get there? I don't think I can teleport 5 people. Not safely.
We'll have to split up. Maybe catch taxis separately.
Payment will be tracked, and we can't have them know the direction we're going. Unless you intend to throw them off by backtracking, dumping the cab, and heading to the right place. I'm a writer, Vale. I think about these things.
There was a nearby shout, and Quill grabbed my arm, pulling me from the others.
You 3 stick together.
He nodded toward Locke.
Take care of him.
You don't have to tell us that.
Good luck. As long as they don't find everyone, we have a chance to work this out. It doesn't matter how you get there. Be safe and make sure no one sees you.
Understood. Good luck, Morgan.
Thanks. Same. Be safe. And we were off again. This whole incident was a lot to take in, but we wouldn't have time to worry about it for a while. I cast one more look at the others as they vanished, hoping they'd be okay. Then I expanded my sphere as far as I could before looking at Quill. I'm going to be keeping an eye on our surroundings as we go. I might be a little distracted, so keep me from running into any walls.
Will do.
No one in our vicinity that I can sense. Not yet. Not sure what that shout was or where they were.
This way, then.
Quill led me away from that spot, keeping to alleys as much as possible. Fortunately, almost every dome was designed with an interconnected alley system like Cisalis and New Albion. It was part of the original design, I assumed, even before we showed up and humanized all the buildings and cities. Quill said it would have been great if we could use the ruins, since they might not think to look there. But since Psi ran the risk of activating them, we could run into problems if I went down there. Especially since I wasn't great at keeping my Psi in check. He thought Vale and the others might try it, though. But as for the 2 of us, we stayed above ground. Do you know where we even are right now in relation to where we're going?
More or less.
More or less isn't that convincing, sir. That is not very helpful in the situation, so let's offer a solution. Maybe I should teleport us to a higher ground? Somewhere you can look around a little? It might also be beneficial to not be on the street.
I thought you said you can't do that.
I said I can't teleport 5 people. I've gone short distances with a single passenger before, but I'm not willing to risk our lives attempting an entire group over a long distance.
Fair. Alright, let's do it.
I have to warn you now that I only know one method, and it tends to make people very queasy the first time around. Vale and Rory both weren't fans when we practiced. That said, I have no idea how it's going to affect that stalwart neo-human stomach of yours, though.
I guess we'll find out.
Alright. I held a hand out and surprised myself by being grateful for the contact when he took it. Anxiety suddenly hit me and I squeezed it without realizing. Quill stepped closer and gave me a tight hug. I realized he was trembling as well. He pulled back and gave me a weary smile.
It's not the end of the world yet.
Feels like it.
I know.
He gave me another quick hug.
Alright, let's go.
This time I managed a tight smile in return. Right. Nice. My sphere was already expanded outward, so all I had to do was locate a nearby rooftop and get us there. It was a short jump, though longer than any I'd practiced with Vale and Rory, but it was a wide open space, so I didn't have to worry about running into walls. When we stepped out of the odd warped space, Quill was, surprisingly, not that affected. I joked about his stomach, but I assumed it was the brain that was affected. And his brain was still partially organic. But he only put a hand to his head for a brief space before he took a breath and straightened. You okay?
I'm fine. That was a little disorienting, but not a big deal.
Ugh, so unfair. The first time I experienced this, I was on the ground vomiting.
You want me to be on the ground vomiting?
No! I'm just annoyed by the unfairness of your biology sometimes. These advantages are extremely off-putting. He let out a chuckle as he went to the edge of the rooftop, looking out.
This is helpful, though. I know exactly where we are now.
Think I can try to teleport us to where we're going?
I have no idea how this ability works, so I can't say. One trip might be difficult.
We might be able to rooftop hop instead of going through the alleys, though. I'm not sure at what point it'll be too taxing, but it would be safer this way, I think.
I don't want you to tire yourself out. We can't afford it right now.
Then I can make a few jumps, and if I get tired, we'll go the rest of the way on foot. But teleporting this way should keep us out of sight, don't you think?
Alright. If you're sure you can manage.
I can manage a few, anyway.
What's your range?
No idea what my upper range is. Anything in my line of sight or within my sphere shouldn't be an issue. Might be best to start small at first, though. I think I'll get a feel for what I'm capable of pretty fast.
Can you get us to that rooftop?
He pointed to a slightly higher roof in the distance. I just smiled and offered my hand. Let's go. He took my hand again and nodded, and I jumped. We made it to Quill's self-described safe house much faster than he expected with the help of my teleportation. In fact, I was able to get us all the way there without tiring. Alright, Safe House 08. Vale and the others weren't there, but Neil and Eretz were, of course. It was nice to see familiar faces, and I was glad Locke had the foresight to send them there in advance. As Quill mentioned, the safe house was a small underground complex of rooms that we accessed through a tunnel in an otherwise abandoned building on the edges of where the city was populated. It was somehow different from what I pictured, though the fact that Neil was there apparently hacking into systems across the city should have given me a more accurate image. Somehow I still pictured something dark and dirty, but it wasn't like that at all. Hey guys. Eretz and Neil were so relieved when we showed up. Neil engulfed me in a bear hug that left me out of breath. Hi, Neil.
There is an ongoing search for all committee members that escaped. We knew they hadn't found you, since you were one of the ones they were looking for.
They had seen numerous news reports about the situation by the time we arrived.
You and your rogue Esper bodyguards. I'm relieved they're still looking for Locke and the others. At least they haven't been caught. Aside from you and Locke, 3 others got away. They attacked Stratum at the same time, and I think they weren't expecting as much resistance. I can't say if Stratum was expecting something, but the entire place went on lockdown. You know what that building's security is like. Even if it's just because Cindy likes her gadgets, the place is a fortress. I imagine that was the explosion we heard right before we got away.
Ah. I was thinking that too.
There are talks of a curfew and martial law. Communications to the outside have been shut down too. No surprise there.
What the hell is Sager thinking?
Clearly that he wants to take over. The city and Stratum, by the looks of it. I'm so sorry, Quill.
What are you sorry for?
He stood and, to my surprise, pulled me into a hug.
I'm the one that's sorry. You shouldn't even be involved in this mess.
No, but I'm not complaining.
You should be. I am.
I get it. But for now, we just had to be glad we're safe. There was a double beep at the door, causing everyone to tense. Neil's eyes flashed cyan as he delved into the system again, but he smiled, pulling up a security image from outside. Those eyes are gorgeous.
Guess who?
Oh, thank God. Phew! We all lived and made it here. What a relief. The door let out a click as Neil unlocked it. Vale and the others piled in looking dirty and exhausted. We rushed to them.
We were starting to worry about you 3.
Well, this has been a truly shitty day.
They helped Rory to a sofa, and I wondered why he looked so haggard. I joined them as Quill and the others caught Locke up on the latest news.
Glad to see you looking okay, Morgan.
It seems like you 3 had a rough time of it.
We did our best, but we were pursued a few times and struggled to get away. Rory and Vale had to engage some SD officers a couple of times.
Before we stole the car.
You stole a car?
We wanted them to think we were trying to get out of the city before they shut the checkpoints. But then we had to backtrack our way here. It was awful. That's what it was.
You got here safely. That's what matters.
And without being followed, as far as we can tell.
I didn't hear or see any pursuit.
What about you? How was your trip here? You look a lot better than we do.
Well, honestly, we teleported most of the way, so we got here quick.
Ugh. I'm glad, but that's also unfair.
Sorry. I wish I could have brought everyone in one trip. Maybe I could have. I
get it. We don't even know your limit for that sort of thing, and it wasn't worth the risk to experiment.
I'm glad you were able to get yourself and Quill here safely.
Same. I'm glad you made it too.
Now it's just a matter of our next steps.
It was, and I wasn't sure any of us had an answer to what that would look like. For a while after the others arrived, we didn't do much but compare stories, getting to the safe house, theorize, watch reports. The official stories were trying to downplay the situation. Unofficial reports and one smaller outlet had more accurate and dire accounts of what was going on. There were reports a committee member had been killed. A stark and devastating reminder how serious this was, and how fortunate we were. The supposed conspiracy was widespread, encompassing the committee, the Stratum board, and several parts of the research institute.
It's hard to break through their barriers and security, but from what I can tell so far, there has been an ongoing cleanup of the research teams on the sly, and it didn't start just today. This has been in the works for a while. I think Sager's goal after his little coup was to probably lock down the Arensol research. Conceal it.
So it can continue on illegally once the city is open.
That would be my guess. It would allow him to continue to sell access to it without it being public knowledge.
I thought that might be his goal. But how's that going to work when Aurelia is already aware of it?
I don't have all the answers, Quill. Just some theories based on what I see. With the rumors that the remaining committee members want to give Sager emergency powers to extend his control of the city, it's a coup. Pure and simple.
Looks like it. What are we going to do? We can't stop this avalanche alone. No. We can't. We might be able to delay things a little is all. There are already protests and riots going on, and I doubt Vic wants to reveal the city to the world while it's in the middle of a civil war. Especially not while blatantly advertising us being on the run with several dangerous Espers. Nothing is asking Endgame to get involved like that. He wants this to look peaceful.
And you're thinking we can use this to our benefit? Somehow.
I'm just saying that the longer things aren't under control, the better it is for us. Maybe we can break through this communication blackout and get word to Aurelie about what's really going on. Put doubt on his story about economic espionage. That'll be you, Neil.
Of course it'll be me.
Can you do it?
No idea. Depends how they initiated a communication blackout. We have to try. Outside help is our only hope right now, but we can't even get that while we're completely cut off. I know.
If I had access to my nanosystem, if any of us did, we could reach the outside much easier.
Breaking through their blackout will probably be easier than breaking through the suppression protocol. But I'll give that a check too.
I'm nowhere near as skilled as you, but I'll do my best to support.
Thanks, love.
I moved away from them as the familiar blue sheen washed over Neil's eyes. And eventually, I flopped down in the corner of a cushioned bench along one wall. Quill separated himself from the others and came to sit next to me.
I knew I shouldn't have trusted that damn emergency meeting. We should have worked faster. Should have done something sooner. We got too damn comfortable in this stupid bubble.
I quietly covered his hand with my own, giving it a tentative squeeze. He took a deep breath, then hazarded a tired smile.
I'm fine. I just hate this vying for stuff. I have no illusions about neo-humans being any better than humans in this regard, but I'm annoyed this stuff found us here. On this scale.
Same. He let his head fall back against the wall, shutting his eyes as he sighed again.
I'm tempted to just get out of here. Go live in the wastes. Though who knows how long it'll be before it reaches there as well.
It does seem we can't escape it.
Definitely.
I know they're focused on reaching out for help from Aurelie right now, but... Quill, what if that's not enough? What if... we have to take a more dramatic approach?
Dramatic how? Like finding where Sager is holed up and attacking him head on?
Sometimes you do have to cut the head off the dragon.
I'm surprised to hear you say that.
I'm just thinking about past precedent. Spent a long time studying history, you know. If Aurelie comes in to help, that's the approach they may take, after all. I'm not sure they can just... mediate, you know? But if they go for the kill, the question is, whose side do they take? Surely Vic is also thinking along these lines, or he wouldn't be trying to frame us for some stupid Arraean tech conspiracy.
I can't say. We have to talk to them first.
We have to assume he already is talking to them.
I don't think so. If they knew what was going on here, they wouldn't just watch it play out. They'd want to step in. I think he wants to make sure they're in the dark for now, too.
Even so, perhaps we should be thinking of a contingency plan?
Like what?
Like... getting out of the city if we need to.
Abandoning it.
Repositioning ourselves to fight this from the outside.
I don't like that option.
If that's not on the table, then, as much as we all hate getting them involved, there's at least one group that definitely won't take a side.
We have good reasons for not wanting Endgame here, Morgan.
We may have good reasons for needing them here. He was silent for what seemed like a very long time.
Look, you worked pretty hard to get us to the safe house, and I want you to rest for now. We can talk extreme measures later.
I feel fine.
Yes, for now. But you need to rest so you can keep feeling fine. I don't want to see you end up with fatigue again. We'll be safe here for a while at least. So you should take the chance to rest while you can.
Alright. That goes for you too.
I didn't teleport 2 people halfway across the city. I'm fine for now.
Quill leaned in and kissed my forehead, then wrapped me into a hug. He said nothing, and, like me, I suppose he was just trying to grasp how severely things had gone south, and how suddenly. Sager had been so many steps ahead of us, and now we had to find a way to catch up. If we had to get out of the city fast, if I could talk Quill into it, would I be able to do it? Everyone? I could comfortably teleport myself and one other person in a hurry, but there were 6 other people besides myself now. I wasn't sure I could handle that in one trip. And if anyone found this place, would I have time for more than one? I didn't know. But it was something I needed to think about a lot. Because forcing them to draw straws wasn't something I could do either. Quill returned to where the others were, leaving me to curl up and try to rest, as he said. It felt like a cascade of tragedy, starting with that car accident. And now we would have to wait to see what the fallout would be.